Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System. And the word of the day is conclusion. And earlier today, I succumbed to some clickbait. And as a result, I developed what I've been jokingly referring to as political hives or an emotional rash. Fortunately, my friend Barbara, who's an amazing EFT coach, was able to give me some support earlier today. We were doing some work together. And so I was able to release some of that anxiety and sort of take down the heat on that emotional rash. And I also was able to look at the way that when I'm anticipating a really big change, I can get into this place where I start forming conclusions, not based on reality, not based on what's actually happening, but more provoked or promoted by fear. And I had this memory of something that happened to me that in some ways really illustrates the way that conclusions can really paralyze me and can really just totally hijack the whole thing. So when I was much younger, I had an art studio. It was my very first studio, and it was in an old industrial building that had big old transom windows. Now, if you've never seen a transom windows are big windows that tend to pivot instead of, they don't go up and down and they don't open out like casement windows. What they do is they actually, they pivot on a hinge, and they open in and out. And I don't even know how I did this, but basically I managed to get my hand jammed in the transom window, and my hand was caught. It hurt like a mother. Like, it was really painful. I will not deny that. I mean, it was like white pain, like where all you see is white light. It's so painful. And I just formed an immediate conclusion. I formed a number of conclusions. The first conclusion was, oh my God, I just broke my hand. The second one was, oh my God, I just destroyed my career. I'm an artist. I'll never be able to paint or make art again. The third one was, oh my God, I'm in an empty building. The door is locked. Nobody is here. Nobody is going to be returning until a couple days later, because it was just the beginning of the weekend and it was an evening. I am stranded here, and I'm going to be standing with my hand caught, jammed in the window for the next couple days in a state of complete and excruciating pain. And knowing what a drama queen I was at that point in time, I probably imagined that I was afraid I might even pass out from the pain. So anyway, I had formed all these conclusions about what had happened and what was going to happen. And after a moment of realizing I was on my own, there was nobody else around to bail me out of the situation. And at that point, this was like the late 80s, there was no such thing as cell phones either. I was basically in a situation where I was going to have to figure this out for myself. So I calmed myself down. I breathed and I let myself calm down. And then what I realized was that what was happening was I'd been trying to get my hand out in the opposite direction than I needed to. And instead of sort of pulling, I needed to push. And I was able to release my hand. Then I was able to go over to the sink and run very cold water on it. And after a few minutes of being in a lot of pain, the pain subsided, and I discovered I had not broken my hand. I didn't even cut my hand, and I actually didn't even bruise my hand. And basically, I was okay. Nothing major had happened. But there was a period of time for a few minutes there where I was convinced that the worst case scenario had happened, that I was going to hell in a handbasket, that I was going to have permanent damage to my hand, and that my life was completely and irrevocably altered. And so what I realized as I was working with this today is just how often shock and startle and the fear that comes right when something changes can really stop us in our tracks, can be so paralyzing, because we form these ideas and these conclusions about what something is, and it's not based on reality. And that when we can calm ourselves back down, then we can see with more clarity, and then we can see so many other possibilities that we can't possibly see when we're in that state of startle and shock and fear. So my thought is, or my conclusion is, that this applies not only to when you get your hand jammed in a window, but even to what's going on in our country right now. That as long as we keep reacting from a place of conclusion and fear, we can't see all the other options that are available to us. And if we can just take a moment to breathe and relax, we can figure the way to sort of back out, and we can figure the way to set ourselves free from the places where we're getting our hands jammed. So my question to you is, where do you tend to form conclusions based on fear? Where do you jump to a conclusion because you're surprised or you're shocked or you're scared? And what does it take for you to calm yourself down and to be able to step back so that you can have perspective and clarity, and to essentially or symbolically set your hand free from the transom window?